the one with Jimmy Stewart. It's a Wonderful Life. For some reason,
Oh, yeah.
that resonates with my family.
Tim Allen never wanted to be an actor. He was a guy who fixed things, told jokes about his wife, and made audiences laugh with simple truths.
Oh, I can feel her presence, huh?
But somewhere between Home Improvement and Toy Story, something changed. He started watching other actors differently. I used to think acting was just louder comedy, Allen once said. Then I worked with people who showed me it was actually a quieter truth. For 3 decades, he shared screens and stages with Hollywood's best. Most were professionals, some became friends, but only 6 taught him what real acting looks like. These aren't his drinking buddies or his golf partners. These are the actors who made him better without trying. The ones who showed up, did the work, and left him thinking differently about his own craft. They never lectured him about method or technique. Instead, they just did something he recognized from his toolshed days.
You know, Tom and I really become very close friends from Toy Story 1. He's a very different.
They built something solid that lasted. They measured twice and cut once. They didn't waste motion or materials. Allen respects that kind of precision. Here are the 6 actors Tim Allen holds highest, not for their fame or their awards, but for teaching him that great acting, like great craftsmanship, is about making the difficult look effortless. 6. Patricia Richardson. When Tim Allen first met Patricia Richardson, he thought he was hiring a TV wife. What he got instead was a comedy teacher who never taught a class.
She's really accomplished actor, right? So
For 8 years on Home Improvement, Richardson played Jill Taylor, but to Allen, she was something more valuable. She was the one who made his jokes land. Pat never tried to be funny, Allen said years later. She just refused to let me be fake. On set, while Allen would go big with his Tim Taylor grunt and tool obsession, Richardson stayed real. She reacted like an actual person would react to living with that character. Her eye rolls weren't performed. They were earned. The magic happened in their timing. Allen would set up the joke, and Richardson would ground it in reality. She never competed with his energy. Instead, she became the anchor that kept his wild moments from floating away. Directors barely had to direct their scenes together. They just found their rhythm and stayed in it. Off camera, Richardson treated Allen like a colleague, not a star. She'd give him notes about scenes. She'd suggest different ways to play moments. Most actors wouldn't dare. But Richardson knew something important about comedy partnerships. The straight man has to be just as committed as the funny man. Allen learned from watching her that great acting isn't about getting laughs. It's about earning them. Richardson never chased the punchline. She just stayed honest and let the comedy come to her. 5. Tom Hanks. Tim Allen never met Tom Hanks face-to-face during Toy Story.
Telephone?
Yeah.
You need? I get phone.
They recorded their voices in separate booths, weeks apart. But somehow, Hanks taught Allen more about acting than most people he'd worked with in the same room. It happened through headphones and imagination. I'd listened to Tom's Woody recordings before I did my Buzz scenes, Allen explained. The guy just sounded real.
Just I
don't know.
We pull into the peninsula. Get out. Let's go to a hotel room. At least we drove downtown.
Like he actually believed he was a cowboy doll. Allen had done plenty of voice work before, but he was still thinking like a comedian. Say the line, get the laugh, move on. Hanks showed him something different. In every take, Hanks found small moments of truth. When Woody felt jealous, you heard it. When he was scared, it came through without drama. Hanks never pushed emotions. He just let them exist in his voice. Allen started doing the same with Buzz. Instead of just making the Space Ranger sound tough, he found the confusion underneath, the loneliness, the slow discovery of what friendship meant. Their characters' relationship grew stronger across 4 movies because both actors understood something important. Animation doesn't hide bad acting, it reveals it. Every emotion has to be real because the audience can't see your face. They only have your voice to believe in. Allen credits Hanks with teaching him that great actors don't perform characters. They become them. Even when they're just standing alone in a recording booth, talking to a microphone. 4. Robin Williams. Tim Allen met Robin Williams in the comedy clubs of the 1980s, back when Allen was still figuring out his voice, and Williams was already a hurricane of energy. Watching Williams perform was like watching someone juggle fire while riding a bicycle. It should have been impossible, but Williams made it look natural. Robin scared me at first, Allen admitted years later. Not because he was mean, but because he was so fearless. I was still hiding behind safe jokes about tools and marriage. Robin would go anywhere his mind took him. Williams would start a bit about grocery shopping and somehow end up doing voices for every item in the cereal aisle. Allen would stick to his material and hope it worked. But Williams taught Allen something crucial about comedy and acting. The best performers aren't afraid to fail. They're afraid of playing it safe. Williams would bomb sometimes, but even his failures were more interesting than most people's successes. He committed completely to every character, every voice, every crazy idea that popped into his head. Allen watched Williams bring that same fearlessness to dramatic roles. In Good Will Hunting and Dead Poets Society, Williams didn't tone down his energy. He channeled it into something deeper. He showed Allen that being funny and being real weren't opposite things. They could live in the same moment. Robin taught me that the audience can tell when you're holding back, Allen said. They want you to take the leap. Even if you miss, they respect your courage. Allen learned to stop protecting himself so much, to trust that the audience would follow him into uncomfortable territory if he led with honesty. 3. Richard Karn. Richard Karn wasn't supposed to be Al Borland.
Hold on, that's not gonna work. You gotta use the right tool for the job.
He was just another actor auditioning for Tim Allen's neighbor on Home Improvement. But when he walked into the room wearing a flannel shirt and a beard, something clicked.
I don't golf very well. Richard's a very good golfer.
You'd be interesting to watch his swing because it's
Allen saw his comedy partner standing there, even though neither of them knew it yet. Dick understood something about comedy that most actors miss, Allen explained. The straight man isn't the guy who doesn't get to be funny. He's the guy who makes the funny guy funnier. For 8 seasons, Karn played the role perfectly. He never tried to steal scenes from Allen. Instead, he made Allen's scenes better by being completely committed to Al's quiet frustration. Karn had a gift for reaction shots. When Tim Taylor would mess up a tool demonstration, Karn's face would tell the whole story. Disappointment, resignation, and just a hint of, here we go again. He never overplayed it. He just let Al's emotions live in his eyes and his carefully controlled sighs. Off camera, their friendship was built on mutual respect. Karn never treated Allen like the star. Allen never treated Karn like a sidekick. They approached each scene like 2 craftsmen working on the same project. Both had jobs to do, and both did them well. Allen learned from Karn that great acting partnerships aren't about competition. They're about trust. Karn trusted Allen to deliver the big moments. Allen trusted Karn to make those moments land. Together, they created something neither could have built alone. That's what real collaboration looks like. 2. Joan Cusack.
That's what my pain is to you? One big cliche?
Joan Cusack scared Tim Allen the first time they worked together on Toy Story. Not because she was intimidating, but because she was so completely unafraid to look ridiculous. As Jessie the cowgirl, Cusack brought a manic energy that could have easily become cartoon nonsense. Instead, she made it heartbreaking.
It's squeezed on. There's no way those people just do this.
Yeah.
Any girl that puts pantyhose on, do they still have those?
Joan taught me that you can be completely over the top and completely real at the same time, Allen said. Jessie was this wild, bouncing toy, but Joan found the abandoned child underneath all that energy. Allen watched Cusack record her scenes with total commitment. She didn't hold anything back, even knowing that millions of kids would hear every choice she made. What impressed Allen most was how Cusack approached the emotional scenes. When Jessie talks about being forgotten by her owner, Cusack didn't play it safe. She let the character's pain come through without worrying about looking silly. She cried real tears for a plastic cowgirl, and somehow that made perfect sense. Cusack showed Allen that animated characters need even more honesty than live-action roles. Without facial expressions and body language, voice actors have to carry all the emotion in their sound. Cusack never cheated that responsibility. She gave Jessie a complete personality, from her manic highs to her deepest fears. Alan learned from Cusack that great actors don't protect themselves from looking foolish. They protect the truth of their characters instead. She taught him that being brave enough to seem ridiculous is sometimes the only way to find something real. Directors often said Cusack brought something unexpected to every session. She'd find new ways to deliver lines, discover emotional beats that weren't written on the page. That lesson changed how Alan approached every role after Toy Story 2. 1. Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey taught Tim Allen the difference between being funny and being fearless.
How very, very awful. Wait. Let me do that one more time. Give me the line again. Quickly, while it's fresh in my mind.
They crossed paths in the comedy world of the late 80s, two guys from working-class backgrounds trying to make people laugh. But while Alan built his career on being the relatable everyman, Carrey was willing to disappear completely into whatever the role demanded.
I like the machine. I like boating. I boated all my life. So I like boats, and we have a boat. We do. But it's just a...
Jim showed me what total commitment looks like, Alan said. I was still Tim Allen playing characters. Jim became the character. Alan watched Carrey transform from the rubber-faced comedian of Ace Ventura to the heartbroken romantic in Eternal Sunshine. Each role seemed impossible until Carrey made it look effortless. What amazed Alan most was Carrey's physical commitment. In The Mask, Carrey didn't just wear the costume, he became a completely different creature, moving and speaking like someone who had never existed before. Alan realized he'd been holding back, staying safely within his comfort zone, while Carrey was rewriting the rules of what comedy could be. Carrey taught Alan that great actors don't just play parts, they surrender to them. When Carrey played Andy Kaufman in Man on the Moon, he stayed in character between takes, off camera, sometimes for entire days. Alan learned that this wasn't showing off, it was craftsmanship taken to its highest level. Jim taught me that the audience doesn't want to see you being careful, Alan explained. They want to see you risk everything for the truth of the moment. Alan started taking bigger swings in his own work, trusting that complete commitment to character was more important than protecting his image. Years later, Alan would credit Carrey with showing him that comedy and drama weren't separate skills. They were different tools in the same toolbox, and the best actors knew how to use both. That's the lesson that changed everything. Jim taught me that the audience doesn't want to see you being careful, Alan explained. They want to see you risk everything for the truth of the moment. Alan started taking bigger swings in his own work, trusting that complete commitment to character was more important than protecting his image. That's the lesson that changed everything.